Where is my husband?
Mrs. Carter, you need to stay here.
No, that's my husband in there.
They're doing everything they can.
Then why is nobody telling me what's happening?
His blood pressure is dropping! Dr. Mary.
His blood pressure is dropping.
Doctor, the baby's heart rate is dropping too.
We don't have much time.
The ultrasound was sitting on my husband's desk when I found it. I remember everything about that afternoon. The sunlight coming through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the quiet hum of the air conditioning, the faint smell of the expensive cedar candle I had lit that morning, even the sound of the city below us. I had gone into Daniel's office because I was looking for a folder, nothing important. At least, that's what I thought. I opened the bottom drawer of his desk, and there it was, a white medical envelope. I almost ignored it. Then the ultrasound photograph slipped halfway out. I pulled it free. At first, I smiled. I thought it was one of our grandchildren. Then, I saw the patient's name, Daniel Carter. I stared at it. I checked the name again, Daniel Carter. My husband. I looked at the date, then at the age, 69. My hands began trembling, and then I saw the words underneath, gestational pregnancy, 32 weeks. I couldn't breathe. I have known him in our later years to have a pot belly, so it wasn't much of a surprise to me. I had joked once that it's getting a bigger recently, and he should improve on his exercise. He laughed it off. I sat down in Daniel's leather office chair. For several seconds, I simply stared at that little black and white photograph. A baby's head, a tiny hand, a little curved spine, a living child. Inside my 69-year-old husband, I whispered his name, Daniel. Then I noticed something written in blue ink at the bottom of the report. 4 words. For Emily. Keep going. My heart stopped. Emily, our daughter, our only child. The daughter we had buried 11 years earlier. The daughter whose bedroom I had never been able to turn into a guest room. The daughter whose photographs still sat on my nightstand. The daughter whose voice I sometimes thought I heard when the house was quiet. I looked at that ultrasound again, and suddenly, I understood something terrifying. My husband hadn't simply been hiding a pregnancy from me. He had been hiding our dead daughter's secret, and whatever that secret was, it had been growing inside him for 8 months. My name is Margaret Carter. I'm 67 years old. And until the day I found that ultrasound, I believed I knew my husband better than anyone in the world. Daniel and I had been married for 42 years. We met when I was 24. He was 26. He was tall, handsome, ambitious, and completely convinced he was going to change the world. I thought he was arrogant. He thought I was stubborn. We fell in love anyway. We didn't start with money. Our first apartment was so small that if Daniel opened the refrigerator door while I was standing at the kitchen counter, I had to step into the hallway. But we were happy. Daniel worked days and studied at night. I worked at a design company and eventually opened my own interior design firm. Years passed. Our businesses grew. We moved into a larger home, then a larger one. Eventually, Daniel became one of Atlanta's most successful commercial developers. I built a thriving design studio. We traveled. We bought beautiful things. We ate at restaurants where the waiters knew our names. We had a wine cellar, a swimming pool, a private elevator, a view of Atlanta that looked like a postcard at night. But none of that mattered as much as the day Emily was born. We had been told we might never have children. So when Emily arrived, Daniel cried. I had never seen my husband cry like that. He held our baby girl against his chest. His shoulders were shaking, and he whispered, I'm going to protect you for the rest of my life. Emily grew up believing her father could fix anything. Broken bicycles, flat tires, bad grades, broken hearts. When she was 6, she told him she wanted to become a doctor. Daniel said, "Then I'll build you a hospital." She laughed. Years later, she actually became a physician. Our daughter was brilliant, beautiful, kind, and stubborn. Very stubborn. She got that from me. She loved children. She loved music. She loved traveling. And she desperately wanted to become a mother. But she never got that chance. Emily died at 31, 11 years before I found that ultrasound. 11 years of grief. 11 years of trying to learn how to breathe around an empty space. After Emily died, I became someone who talked about grief. Daniel became someone who didn't. I went to therapy. He went to work. I looked at photographs. He put them away. I wanted to say Emily's name. He changed the subject. I thought we were simply grieving differently. I never imagined he was carrying a secret. Literally. That evening, Daniel came home at 7:18. I remember the exact time. He walked through the front door in a charcoal suit. His gray hair was neatly trimmed. His leather briefcase was in one hand. He smiled when he saw me. "Hey, sweetheart." I didn't answer. His smile disappeared. I held up the ultrasound. His briefcase slipped from his hand. It landed on the marble floor. Daniel stared at the photograph, then at me. And for the first time in 42 years, I saw fear in my husband's eyes. Not guilt. Fear. "Where did you get that?" he whispered. "You're pregnant?" "Yes." The word came out so softly I almost didn't hear it. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because my mind couldn't process anything else. "You're 69. I know." "You're my husband. I know. And you're pregnant." Daniel looked away. "Who is the mother?" He didn't answer. "Daniel." Silence. "Who is the baby's mother?" He swallowed. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "It's not that simple." I stepped closer. "Then make it simple." He looked at me and whispered, "It's Emily's." The next morning, I followed my husband. I had never followed Daniel anywhere in my life. But secrets change people. At 6:12 in the morning, I watched him leave our house. He carried a small medical bag. I waited 5 minutes, then followed him. He drove toward the northern side of Atlanta. Eventually, he pulled into the underground garage of a private medical facility. The building was sleek and futuristic. Black glass, white stone, private security, no crowded waiting rooms, no vending machines, no fluorescent lights. This place looked like it was designed for people who didn't want ordinary hospitals. I waited, then entered. The receptionist looked at me. Her eyes widened. "Mrs. Carter?" I stopped. "You know me?" She looked uncomfortable. "Yes." "Why?" She didn't answer. A woman in a white coat appeared behind her. "Mrs. Carter?" I recognized her immediately. Dr. Naomi Reynolds, one of the most respected reproductive specialists in the country. She approached me carefully. "May we speak privately?" I followed her. She closed the door, then said, "Your husband asked us not to contact you." I stared at her. He lied to me. He kept a secret. That is the same thing. Not always. This procedure is experimental. I don't care. You should. Why? Because the risks are significant. I stared at her. What risks? She hesitated. Cardiovascular complications, blood clotting disorders, organ stress, hormonal complications. I whispered. You told him he could die. Yes. And he still did it. Yes. Why? Dr. Reynolds turned the monitor toward me. The image appeared. The same baby, the same tiny face, the same little hand. This embryo was created 11 years ago. I touched the screen. Emily. Yes. I closed my eyes. Why didn't you use a surrogate? We did. What happened? The first woman became medically unable to continue. And the second? She withdrew. And the third? She died from an unrelated illness. I looked at her. Then Daniel volunteered. Yes. Why? Dr. Reynolds looked at me. Because he believed your daughter's child deserved a chance to live. I started crying. Then she said, but that isn't the whole reason. I looked up. What else? Dr. Reynolds lowered her voice. Your husband didn't tell you because he believed the pregnancy might kill him. My entire body went cold. I found Daniel in the parking garage. He was standing beside his car. He knew I had followed him. You shouldn't have come. You could die. He looked down. I know. You knew? Yes. And you still did this? Yes. I stepped closer. Why? He didn't answer. Why, Daniel? He finally looked at me, and his eyes were filled with the kind of sadness I had seen only once before, at Emily's funeral. I promised her. Promised her what? That I wouldn't let her child disappear. I stared at him. What happened? 2 weeks before she died, Emily asked me to come to the hospital. He closed his eyes. She was weak. His voice cracked. She took my hand. Then he repeated the words she had said. Daddy, if I don't make it. He stopped. I waited. She said, don't let my baby disappear with me. I covered my mouth. She knew she was going to die. She suspected. Daniel continued. She told me about the embryos. Why didn't she tell me? She said you would spend the rest of your life trying to save her. I looked away. He continued. She didn't want to be remembered as your sick daughter. I began crying. She wanted to be your daughter. I looked at him. And you agreed. Yes. Without telling me. Yes. Why? Because I knew you would say no. Yes. I knew you would beg me to stop. Yes. I knew I wouldn't be able to refuse you. I stared at him. So you lied. I hid it. Daniel. He took my hand. I am sorry. I pulled away. You could die. Yes. You're not young. I know. You have a heart condition. I know. And you're carrying a child. I know. Then why? He placed his hand on his stomach and whispered, because she's the last piece of Emily I can still save. I cried. But then I noticed something. There was a small silver chain around his neck. I had never seen it before. What is that? Daniel touched it. A key. To what? He looked at me. The rest of the story. That evening, Daniel showed me the box. It had been hidden in the back of his closet. A small wooden box. Dark walnut. Beautifully carved. I had seen it before. I just never knew what it contained. Daniel placed it on the bed, then opened it. Inside were letters, dozens of them, all addressed to me. I stared. What are these? Letters Emily wrote. My heart stopped. How many? 43. Why didn't I get them? She asked me to keep them. Why? She wanted me to give them to you when you were ready. I laughed bitterly. When would I have been ready? I don't know. I opened the first one. Mom, I'm scared. I stopped. The words blurred. I wiped my eyes. Then continued. I'm not scared of dying as much as I'm scared of leaving you. I couldn't breathe. The letter continued. Emily wrote about the baby, about the embryos, about her fear, about her dreams. Then she wrote, Daddy says he will do anything to protect me. I looked at Daniel, then continued. I know that isn't true anymore, because he can't protect me from everything. I began crying. But maybe he can protect the life I leave behind. I looked at Daniel. You promised her. Yes. Then I saw another envelope, different from the rest, sealed. My name was on it. Underneath were 6 words. Open this after the birth. I looked at Daniel. What does it say? I don't know. You never opened it? No. Why? Because Emily made me promise. I held it, and suddenly I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. But there was something else. A terrible feeling. Because if Emily had one final secret, then neither Daniel nor I knew the whole truth. The pregnancy reached 35 weeks. Daniel was exhausted. He tried to hide it. He was always like that. He would smile, make jokes, pretend everything was fine. But I knew him. I could see the pain. He struggled to climb stairs. He stopped sleeping through the night. His ankles swelled. His breathing became shallow. One afternoon, I found him sitting beside the nursery. He was holding a tiny pair of pink shoes. He looked at them. Do you think she'll like these? I smiled through tears. She won't care about shoes. I care. You're going to spoil her. Absolutely. He smiled. Then his face changed. Margaret? Yes? What if I don't make it? I froze. Don't. What if? Don't. I need you to promise me something. I stood. No. Listen. No. Margaret. I looked at him. If something happens, no. Take care of her. I walked away. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't listen to another person I loved prepare me for their death. That night, I slept in another room. I was angry, terrified, and exhausted. At 2:14 a.m., I heard something crash. I ran downstairs. Daniel was on the floor. The lamp beside the sofa had fallen. His face was pale. He was struggling to breathe. I called emergency services. Within minutes, paramedics filled our beautiful living room. The home that had once felt like a palace suddenly looked like a hospital. They placed Daniel on a stretcher. The ambulance doors closed, and I stood alone in our driveway. The city lights were still shining. The world was still moving, but mine had stopped. Then my phone rang. Dr. Reynolds. Mrs. Carter? Yes. You need to come to the hospital. Is he alive? Yes. I exhaled. But there is a problem. What? The baby's heart rate is dropping. When I reached the hospital, Dr. Reynolds was waiting. She looked serious. We have to deliver the baby. How is Daniel? Stable. Will he survive? We believe so. I looked at her, but she hesitated. His heart is under tremendous strain. Then save him. We're trying. Save both of them. We will. She walked away. I sat alone. The hallway was modern and silent. Glass walls, soft lighting, machines quietly humming. I looked at my reflection. A 67-year-old woman. Gray hair, tired eyes, a lifetime of memories behind me. And somewhere behind those operating room doors, my husband was fighting to bring my granddaughter into the world. I whispered, Emily, if you can hear me. My voice broke. Please don't take him too. The doors opened. A nurse rushed through. Then another. Something was wrong. I stood. What happened? No one answered. Then I heard an alarm. The monitor had changed. Daniel's heart rate had dropped. The baby's heart rate had dropped too. I couldn't breathe. I prayed. I prayed harder than I had prayed in years. Then suddenly, silence. The doors closed. I waited. 1 minute, 2, 5, 10. I thought about our first apartment, our wedding, Emily's first steps, her graduation, her funeral, everything. Then the operating room doors opened. Dr. Reynolds walked toward me. She was crying. I thought the worst. Then she smiled. "The baby is here." I covered my mouth. "And Daniel, he's alive." I collapsed into the chair. Thank God. Then I heard it. A tiny cry. The most beautiful sound I had ever heard. A nurse brought the baby to me. She was tiny, beautiful, perfect. I held her. She opened her eyes, and something inside me broke open. For 11 years, I had believed my daughter's story ended with a funeral. I was wrong. Her story was still being written. I whispered, "Hello, baby girl." Her little fingers wrapped around mine. I began crying. "Your mother loved you." Then the nurse looked at me. "There is something else." She handed me an envelope. The envelope, Emily's final letter, the one I was supposed to open after the birth. I sat down. My hands trembled. I opened it. The first words were, "Mom, if you're holding my baby, then Daddy kept his promise." I laughed through tears. Then I read, "Please don't be angry with him." I looked toward the operating room. "He will think he did this because he couldn't save me." I stopped. The next sentence destroyed me. "But Mom, Daddy did save me." I stared at the page. "Every time he talks about me, I live." I pressed the letter against my chest. "Every time you say my name, I live." Then, "And every time my daughter laughs, a part of me lives again." I couldn't continue, but I did. Emily had written that she knew her father was taking a tremendous risk. She knew what could happen. She knew I would be angry, but she believed something. She believed that love was worth protecting. Then came the final paragraph. "Mom, please don't spend the rest of your life grieving me." I cried. "Dance with Daddy." Another tear. "Travel with him." Another. "Laugh with him." Another. "And when my daughter asks who I was, don't tell her I was the daughter you lost." I closed my eyes. The final sentence read, "Tell her I was the woman who loved her before she was born." Daniel survived, but recovery wasn't easy. He spent weeks in the hospital. When he finally came home, he walked slowly. I helped him up the stairs. He hated needing help. I loved giving it. One evening, he sat in the nursery. The baby was sleeping. He looked at her, then at me. "Are you still angry?" "Yes." He nodded. "I understand. You lied to me." "Yes." "You could have died." "Yes." "You made the decision for both of us." "Yes." "You didn't trust me." Daniel looked down. "No." I sat beside him. "I thought I was protecting you." I looked at him. "You were protecting me from the truth." He nodded. "I was afraid." "Of what?" "Of losing you too." I became quiet. Daniel looked at me. "I couldn't survive losing Emily." He swallowed. "I couldn't imagine losing you." I took his hand. "You should have trusted me with your fear." He nodded. "I know." We sat quietly. Then he said, "Do you forgive me?" I looked at him. "I don't know." He nodded. "That's okay." I smiled sadly. "Why aren't you fighting me?" "Because you don't owe me forgiveness." That answer broke something inside me. I leaned over and kissed his forehead. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was the beginning. 3 weeks later, a woman came to our house. She was young, maybe 30. She held white roses. "Mrs. Carter?" "Yes." "My name is Jasmine." I didn't recognize her. I knew Emily. My heart stopped. "Where?" "At the hospital." I invited her inside. She sat in our living room. Then she told me she had been with Emily during the final days of her life. She had been one of Emily's colleagues. "She talked about you." I smiled sadly. What did she say? She said you were her best friend. I looked down. I was angry with her sometimes. She knew. She knew? Jasmine nodded. She said you were angry because you loved her. Then Jasmine handed me a photograph. Emily, smiling, holding an ultrasound photograph. I stared at it. Where did you get this? She gave it to me. When? 2 days before she died. I turned it over. There was writing on the back. One day, Mom will understand. I started crying. Then Jasmine said, there is something else. What? She asked me to tell you that she wasn't afraid. I looked at her. She wasn't? No. What did she say? Jasmine smiled through tears. She said, my mother thinks I'm leaving her, but I'm leaving her something. I looked toward the nursery. My granddaughter was sleeping, and suddenly, I understood. Emily hadn't left me empty-handed. She had left me a reason to keep living. 1 year later, our granddaughter turned 1. We hosted the party at our home. It was beautiful. Daniel sat nearby. He looked older, but happier. I walked toward him. You okay? He smiled. Never better. She crawled into his lap. He picked her up. That attitude is definitely from your grandmother. I smiled. Then I looked at the baby. Emily would have loved this. Daniel nodded. She would. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he whispered, I kept my promise. I placed my hand over his. Yes, you did. He looked at me. Do you think she knows? I smiled. I think she always knew. Our granddaughter grew up knowing the truth. Not every detail. Not until she was old enough to understand. But she knew her grandfather had carried her. She knew her mother had loved her. She knew her grandmother had never stopped talking about the woman who gave her life. She became a physician, just like Emily. On the day she graduated from medical school, she walked toward us wearing her black cap and gown. She hugged me, then hugged Daniel. She whispered into his ear, You brought me here. Daniel smiled. I promised your mother. She pulled away. No. She looked at him. You promised yourself. Daniel frowned. What? You promised yourself you wouldn't let her disappear. He looked at her. Tears filled his eyes. She hugged him again. And I realized something. The promise had never been about one baby. It had been about memory, love, family, and the strange ways people find to survive loss. Daniel died at 82, peacefully, at home, surrounded by family. Our granddaughter was 21. She held his hand. I sat beside him. His breathing became slower. He looked at me. For a moment, I saw the 26-year-old man I had fallen in love with. Not the 69-year-old man from the ultrasound. Not the man who had nearly died carrying a child. Just Daniel, my husband, my best friend, the father of my daughter. He smiled. I told you I'd protect you. I held his hand. You did. He looked at our granddaughter, then back at me. I kept my promise. Those were his final words. After he died, I found his old leather briefcase. Inside was the ultrasound. The same ultrasound that had changed everything. I held it and finally understood. I had spent years believing my husband had betrayed me. But he hadn't. He had been carrying something much heavier than a baby. He had been carrying grief. He had been carrying guilt. He had been carrying a promise. And he had been carrying the memory of our daughter. For 11 years. People sometimes ask me how I could forgive him. The truth is, I didn't forgive him all at once. I forgave him one memory at a time. One morning, one conversation, one photograph, one laugh, one tear, one birthday, one moment with our granddaughter. And eventually, I understood something. Not every secret is born from betrayal. Some secrets are born from fear. Some are born from grief. And some are born from love so deep that a person doesn't know how to explain it. My husband carried our granddaughter for 9 months. But that wasn't the real story. The real story was that a father couldn't save his daughter, so he decided to save the future she left behind. He couldn't bring Emily back. He couldn't change what happened. He couldn't undo 11 years of grief. But he could make sure the world never forgot she had been here. And perhaps that was the hidden truth. We don't get to choose how the people we love leave us, but sometimes we get to choose what their love leaves behind. Emily left us a child. Daniel left us courage. And together, they taught me that even the deepest grief can someday become another form of love. Sometimes love doesn't return the person we lost. Sometimes it sends us someone new to love. And sometimes the person we thought was keeping a secret from us was actually carrying the last piece of our family home. If this story hits home or resonates with you, hit the subscribe button, share, like, and drop a comment. We read and appreciate every one of them. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming stories. Thank you for being here, and see you on the next one.